I'm really, really so happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me for the seminar. Also, thanks for hosting me as a visiting scholar. I will be around during the next 2 semesters, hopefully, and I will be really so happy to interact with each of you. And I hope to be, I will be able to contribute as much as I can. I am sure that I will learn a lot from the department. Uh, and yeah, I've been an associate member in the department since 2017. And, I co-supervise a doctoral student here, Ali Bargu, and he was an excellent student and he's an excellent researcher. So he is now working at OECD as a senior social policy analyst. So, I mean, I have really good memories here in the department, and yeah, and Ali also worked as part of the team of this emerging welfare project that I will be talking about today. I gave another talk last year or 2 years ago about the emerging welfare project. So some of you already remember maybe some of the results. So I will not spend so much time on the first project, but since the second Politus project depends on the findings of the first one, I have to talk about them, the first project, to some extent. So I will talk about today computational social sciences and how we can use AI and big data to understand social processes, social movements, public opinion, and how can this be possibly used to understand and design social policies. So this is so I will be talking eventually about the Politus project and focuses on political analysis and civil society, and with that project brings together social and computer scientists from Koç University, and it's been supported by ERC and Turkish scientific funder TÜBİTAK. So the original project, emerging welfare, it tried to understand the rapid, huge expansion of social assistance programs in the global south. So that was the main problematic, and the literature assumed that social welfare state has been in decline during the period of neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is mostly, not always, but mostly expected to undermine welfare provision. But when we look at these countries, Turkey, Brazil, China, South Africa, India, Mexico, Argentina, etc., we see an opposite pattern, as you all are aware. So we see a huge expansion of the welfare state right in the middle of neoliberalism. So what explains this huge expansion? That is the first question that I was interested in, and I was that so and the project actually tried to understand the configurations and distribution and expansion and changes in social assistance policies. And so by taking social unrest and populist politics, and in short, I call them contentious politics, by taking contentious politics as a key independent variable. Because I relied on the assumption that these governments are expanding these policies to contain social unrest and to mobilize popular support, which is like terribly needed by especially populist governments that are ruling these countries. And my research has illustrated an almost global, I mean, interestingly global pattern. I mean, I started to understand this pattern from my PhD project in Turkey, on Turkey. I mean, Turkish government was misusing, abusing social assistance programs to contain the Kurdish unrest, to demobilize different rural and urban populations, and to gain vote. But it was really surprising to see that. I mean, that's a common pattern. I mean, Turkish authoritarian, like populist Erdogan government is a right-wing one, but Lula was also doing the same. Or South African ANC was doing the same. In Argentina, it was the same. Modi was doing the same. Even China was doing the same. And so we see a populist misuse of public social policies. And I was trying to, I mean, I was, so it was appearing that governments were using big data and to arrange this political allocation of programs. And that big data and data on social policies was mostly monopolized by these governments. They were not sharing it, basically. I mean, as a scholar, I applied several times to request for data, monthly and geographical distribution of social assistance provisions in Turkey. I was rejected. Then I asked my dean to request it. It was rejected. And the university officially requested, it was rejected. And I mean, everyone that I talked to said, I mean, it's not available because, I mean, if I run the analysis, I mean, they're expecting the results. I mean, it's extremely politicized allocation of the results. I mean, in 2010, my first publication from my PhD was based on a 10,000 responded survey from Turkey, and the result was so interesting. I mean, being Kurdish was a much stronger explanatory factor of social assistance in Turkey than someone's poverty level or socio-economic level. So when it take one Turkish and one Kurdish poor, the Kurdish one is 100 and something % more likely to receive social assistance, controlling for everything. So, I mean, therefore, so we see a government led monopoly of this big data, and that monopoly, that information gap was preventing not only researchers, but also political opposition or local municipalities or civil society organizations to monitor the allocation of these public sources, and not only monitoring, but also preventing this misuse of public resources. So, and I propose in this second ERC proof of concept project, I propose to create a proxy data set of political, sociological and social policy related factors, and that would enable opposition leaders, researchers, and civil society organizations to analyze the extent to which these programs are abused, and also if we can design social policies that are what I call fair social policies. What do I mean by fair social policy? Any, let's say, social assistance program that does not change people's political behavior, basically. So, I mean, it can be a protester or it can be a voter. That person receives social assistance and still keeps protesting or keeps voting for the same party. I mean, it is a citizenship right, and eventually it does not change people's political behavior, because in all of these countries, the question whether social policy changes people's social behavior is an open question. This is the effectiveness of this political targeting, but it is definitely certain that social policies are allocated depending on people's political behavior. Protesters receive higher social assistance. Some places, in some places, protesters receive less social assistance. And like government, sometimes swing voters receive more social assistance. Sometimes opposition. Sometimes government party supporters. And I will talk about that. Sometimes the interaction between protest behavior and voting behavior shapes the distribution of social assistance. So this is therefore my overall objective in this Politus project, to create an AI-based data set that would act as a proxy for the big data, and which is taken away from the public by the government. It's been monopolized by the governments. So I already talk about that, and I already talk about that as well. So what is the relationship between contentious politics and welfare provision in the global south? And my main argument eventually is that governments in the global south, they expend social assistance not when or where people are poor, but when or where the poor become radicalized. So I mean, this was actually an extension of the famous Fox, Piven and Clavert argument. So she was my informal mentor when I was doing a PhD, and I always, appreciate her, like the inspiration. So the argument was that, contentious politics, social movements are important, and whenever there are more protests, whenever some individuals are more likely to protest, or not only protest, it could be a guerrilla movement, it could be boycotts, it could be strikes, but any kind of contentious politics or challenge from the bottom leads to changes in social policy designs and allocations. And this is a bold hypothesis, so I needed data for that. And data on social movements is very limited. It is either strike data, but strike activity is only part of what I'm interested in, because it is, strikes are official actions by officially employed people, formal sector workers, but social assistance programs are targeting informal poor. So they don't have strikes, but they just go to streets and riot. Okay, so I had to capture that mobilization. And so that is reported by the police, obviously, but we don't have access to that, and also reported by newspapers. And we social movement scholars rely on this data for a long time. Starting from Charles Tilly, or starting from mid-century. So manual collection of protest data from news archives is this standard approach. Now, so there were some projects that try to automatize this protest event collection, and we also joined this effort. And we tried to do that using more state-of-the-art AI methods in order to ensure like accuracy and recall and precision of protest event our protest event dataset. So what do we do? So that is a supervised machine learning and deep learning pipeline. So we for example, take India, and we take the three major newspapers from India: the Indian Express, Indian Times, and Times of India, and the Hindu. And what we do is to, first of all, to compile the corpus of entire archive of this news sources, like 10 million news articles from India. Then we choose like 10,000 random articles from this sample, and our human annotators, our graduate students at Koç University, they annotated this 10,000 corpus, and it required double annotation and then what we call adjudication of this annotations. This is the most critical and the most critical part of any AI process. I mean, these days at Koç University, my university, I mean, Python is a must course. Every freshman, so I mean, they do learn Python. So even high school kids are writing Python codes and do simple machine learning, and it is definitely not the thing. Okay, and ChatGPT writes very beautiful codes for you, but I mean, the quality of this kind of social scientific AI projects depends on the quality of the gold standard corpus, the benchmark data, because so we are collecting data. We are trying to understand and predict and measure protest movements in India, or social or political ideologies from Turkey. So these are really culturally, politically, geographically, historically loaded concepts, and no engineer can understand this. I mean, I was trained as an electrical engineer, so I mean, I can I'm free to complain about this. Engineers think that they can do everything, but they are absolutely wrong, because I mean, these are very complicated issues. We at Koç University, I work with a colleague of mine. He is an expert in China and India. He lived in China for 3 years. He speaks Chinese. He lived in India. He knows the country. He's a political sociologist, and he gave a domain knowledge. He trained our research assistants about social movements, political mobilizations, political parties, from Modi, from right wing to Naxalite, Maoist, guerrilla. So he explained everything. Okay, and so we created huge annotation manuals. Annotation manuals enables two people to evaluate the same text in the same way. Okay, so if this is a protest or a boycott, so they have to agree on the concepts. If this is a left-wing protest or a social democratic one, if it is a like right-wing or a conservative one, so these are really thin lines. You have to agree on these conceptualizations. And following these training procedures, following this annotation manuals like 70-page huge document, and 10,000 articles are labeled by these researchers, and the conflicts were adjudicated, corrected by a supervisor, a postdoctoral researcher. And in the end, there is a metric called Crepender. I always have difficulty, but a metric about inter-annotator agreement. this has to be higher than 90%. So, I mean, like you take 100 documents, 2 people labeled them, at least 90 of them, they have to agree, because this sets the upper theoretical limit of the capacity of the AI algorithm. AI cannot predict better than 90%. So you always try to increase it. And the marginal return of this effort is always, yeah, I mean, it's very challenging. I mean, increasing it from 65 to 85 is relatively easier, but from 85 to 90 or from 90 to 93, then it gets really, really challenging. Therefore, so these annotators labeled this data, and out of this 10,000 articles, more or less, I mean, in each of these countries, 5 to 10% of all news articles are containing protest news about protest events. India is crazy. India, I mean, there's a civil war in India. It's a constant civil war. I mean, it's a very interesting country, as you know. It is like an undisrupted democracy for a long time. There is no military coup. There is no, big disruption in official democracy, parliamentary democracy, let's say. But I mean, every day you see like tens of events, police being killed, guerrillas being killed, boycotts, assassinations. I mean, the rate of contentious politics in India was the highest, like was like 10% of the articles. So I mean, therefore, out of this 10,000, we get 1,000 protest-related news. Then our annotators did detailed annotations focusing on this 1,000. What type of an event was it? Was it an assassination, boycott, strike? Was it a left-wing, right-wing, socialist, Islamist event? Was it violent or not? What is the participants? Was it like women, workers, peasantry, or organizer? Was the party, a guerrilla organization, a student union, urban, rural, etc. And all of these labelings were really challenging. I mean, take the most basic one, urban-rural divide. How do you understand if an event is taking place in an urban area or rural area? It is, I mean, if you think about it a little bit, you will imagine that decisions were really challenging for us. So, classification and extraction of these models in this algorithm gave us a data set. In the end, we use this gold standard corpus.
You have about 17 minutes.
17.
Yeah, one.
Okay. So using this gold standard corpus, we built deep learning models, and then the models predicted protest events and their characteristics from tens of millions of news articles from India, from Brazil, from Turkey, from South Africa. Then we put all this data in a dashboard, and so it is publicly available for social movement researchers. You can do filters and get outputs. For example, this is from India, this is Turkey, this is Brazil, and so we obviously try to validate the results. This light blue is like a semi-official rural unrest data from Brazil, and we managed to catch the pattern the temporal pattern in rural unrest. Okay, so using this protest data, using other survey data, available survey data, official statistics, and qualitative document analysis of parliamentary discussions, policy documents, we work on a series of like case studies. So in a minute, so let me go over them. So global analysis shows that the more violent unrest, the more social assistance. So this is from like 58 countries, I think, from 20 years. So governments expand social assistance coverage as a response to violent social unrest. And interestingly, so we also take the presence of World Bank's social assistance recommendations as an independent variable for that country in that specific year. Governments, actually, I mean, this World Bank recommendations played a role only when there was a social unrest the preceding year. So governments take care of World Bank recommendations when they are threatened by social unrest, violent social unrest. So in Mexico, this is the Kurdish pattern. So the indigenous people supporting the Zapatista movement, so they are 52% more likely to receive the Prospera Oportunidades program. In South Africa, the pattern is a bit more complicated. There are 4 groups of people: ANC government supporters, I mean like 2 by 2, ANC supporters, opposition supporters, protesters, non-protesters. And among this, ANC supporters who do not participate in protests and non-ANC supporters, opposition supporters who participate in protests are much more likely to receive the child support grant. So government is rewarding either full loyalty or full opposition. If you are not in these categories, I'm a bit sorry. In India, we look at the Enregamu and the Naxalite Maoist movement. So I mean, there's a clear evidence that government is pouring this program to Naxalite affected areas, and if there is more violence, more events, so the government is giving this money, and they are basically trying to buy the lower castes who are supporting the Naxalite movement. Okay, so populist governments therefore design and implement social assistance programs to pacify social movements and mobilize popular support. And by allocating resources and directing benefits towards unruly populations, loyal groups, ethnic minorities, ethnic majorities, swing voters, core voters, and they claim for objectivity. Bolsa Familia, Green Card program in Turkey, Prospera, child support grant. So they are officially programmatic, computerized. But I can talk about how this is. This creates an ample degree of discretion and political manipulation within the contours of this computerized system. So governments, they use big data and they create an information gap. So how many minutes?
You have 12.
12. Okay, better. I was thinking 10. Okay, so then the Politus project. It tries to create a proxy data set, and methodologically, we were addressing 2 limitations or challenges in existing public opinion research. Public opinion research, which is based on classical survey polls and most recently social media monitoring. Classical surveys, as you all know, I mean, they are it's really difficult to have panel data. It's costly, time consuming. You have to be a government to implement a panel survey. And it has rigid geographical limitations. I mean, if you have a survey on the UK, so you cannot have inferences about London. So I'm zoom in, zoom out. The sampling constraints are really important. It's not fast. Even if you have money, you can do a survey once a year, but you don't have weekly or monthly data. And in addition to these structural limitations, there are more like contemporary problems of survey research, social desirability bias, response bias. People do not want to participate in surveys, but this is also politically shaped. Far-right populations, they are much less likely to participate in surveys and more likely to give inaccurate answers. They don't like surveys, and this is something in political science discussions these days. On the other hand, despite all these problems, so we use surveys, and we will be using surveys for the next 100 years, I'm sure. But we have to recognize these limitations. And social media monitoring, this big data, the organic found, unsolicited data coming from social media platforms bring a big opportunity, but this is extremely problematic at the same time, because it is, first of all, not representative. All platforms are biased. Twitter is younger and more educated. Facebook is like parents, grandparents. So even if you minimize the measurement error, you accurately validly measure something, then your conclusions are not representative at the population scale. And it is not clean. There are bots, there are troll accounts. The data is unstructured, like organic data. And people almost never analyze the users, but they always analyze the content, because user data is not available. Twitter, only 5% of Twitter users made their geolocation public. Okay, so gender, age, and location, three very basic sociological variables are missing in most social media monitoring business. And vocal users, some people post a lot and they just screw the data. So and therefore the unit of analysis should be the user instead of the content. And so this field, it depends on sentiment analysis, even if they do some AI. And sentiment analysis says, it says this content is positive or negative or neutral, but life is extremely complicated, so we have to understand human emotions instead of the sentiment. So what we do, we collect data from online platforms. Okay. Billions of data. We have done this on Turkey, and now we have started to do this in the United Kingdom. So therefore, if you are interested in anything about public opinion, social policy, perceptions, and political and policy related, or any sociological factors that you will be interested in, we will be so happy to collaborate with you. We are now building the same data set for the UK. So we apply a multi-level regression with post-stratification to overcome this demographic bias coming from the the platforms. So this is the reweighting algorithm. So it enables us to project our data at the population level. Data coverage. So we do not collect data at the using keywords. We do not collect like data on Bolsa Familia or Oportunidades, etc. But we collect the entire platform. So we collect data of users and every single tweet sent by these users every day. So we cover the entire ecosystem, and you can focus on a certain issue by considering the broader context. Emotion, we identified 17 different emotions. We can segment users with sociological categories. With linked data, we conduct online surveys and we merge this data with digital trace data. And finally, so data privacy is a critical factor, and we integrate differential privacy and local differential privacy in our pipeline so as to protect the privacy of users. So what we do is similar to the protest data set. We annotated more than 100,000 tweets according to the variables of interest. A tweet, if it is angry, happy, regret. If it is left-wing, right-wing, socialist. If it is about social policy, municipal policies, economy, foreign affairs, etc. Any kind of indicators that you are interested. So the beauty here is that so when you design a questionnaire and when you run it, it is too late to change anything. But so if you say, I'm interested in football and social policy and football. So then I will say, okay, give me 3 weeks. Then I will come back to you with a football variable from 1 billion people. So it takes really little time. So you just do some annotations and then create a model and run this model over the data set, and then you start analyzing. We also conduct network analysis. Network brings a lot of data, people's followee relations, like posts, favorites. It tells you a lot about political preferences, political tendencies. The spread of information, you name it. Then we do model training, and then MRP and representation and privacy, and then we share this data on a platform. I can go back to you the MRP details of the MRP. So these are, this is our dashboard. So you can choose different filters and outputs according to like demographics, location, and your variable of interest. And let me. This is an article, a recent article in which we, for example, create a map of political ideologies in Turkey. So I can go back to, so this is the rate of support for İmamoğlu, the major rival of Erdogan, who is in jail now. Different ideologies supporting Erdogan, different municipal services like social services, and so changes in, for example, the gratitude for the social services of Istanbul municipality. And İmamoğlu's support rate in different areas of municipal services, culture, social policy, environment, etc. And I would like to, close this up with this slide. So we have, so this data set is being used and can be used to measure political allocation of existing programs, the monitoring of existing and misuse, abuse social programs. And it can also be used to build fair social policies in an iterative methodological approach. So you design, so we are working on that with, we were working with Istanbul municipality, but most of the people that we were working with are now in jail. But let's see. So you, what's this? Anyways, so you design, if you have a municipality that can work with you, and if you have this data, you design a policy, and then you measure its political impact. Then, according to that, with the feedback, you can do a second iteration that would decrease the political impact of these programs. And iteratively, over a certain period of time, we expect that you can minimize the political change, political impact of these policies, and therefore reaching at politically neutral or fair social policies. And one thing that we are planning to do is, I will be so happy if I can collaborate with any of you here to build a machine learning based proxy means testing algorithm. So you change the AI like variables, the feature selection, model building, and our objective is to understand like people's proxy poverty level from their digital traces. And so this can actually, so it is tricky. So there are risks and opportunities. There are privacy risks. There are like a lot of risks we should overcome and recognize. But at the same time, so the already existing means test procedures are the core of this political manipulation. So governments intervene at people's houses, their lives, and means test is the main instrument in countries like Turkey, where governments are trying to craft proper, loyal citizens out of poor people. And yeah, if you are interested in developing that like means testing using AI and digital traces, I will be so happy to collaborate. Thank you so much.